Hey guys, this is Cliff with Elevate Music Production, and in this video I'll be showing you how to mix vocals over a beat or an instrumental. So I'll show you how I do that. I've seen a lot of questions like these on Facebook and on Reddit, and so hopefully this will be helpful to someone. We got the beat here. I'm going to solo the beat for you real quick. Actually, you know what? I'm going to play this real quick so that you can listen to it without any inserts or plugins or anything like that. Alright, here we go.
With a beat like this, might as well call me Rico. I like talk fast, but I wanna speak slow. I can't help myself, the boot powder with the weed smoke me go where I wanna go now. I'ma just show out, that's ludicrous, watch how I roll out. I want this exposure, like I'm fully exposed now. With a beat.
Alright, so you hear that. It doesn't sound it doesn't sound bad. It's really clean because we got the vocals coming in really clean because my room's treated for that type of thing, which I'll do another video on soon. But yeah, it sounds pretty decent already, but that just means that when we clean it up, it's going to sound that much better. So I'm going to take you through this real quick. The first thing that you do is you drop in the beat. First thing you do with this instrumental is you want to find the BPMs, which means beats per minute, which is the tempo that you'll actually see down here. I found the tempo, it was 130 beats per minute. A lot of these beats will have the BPM information for you already, which helps a lot, but you can see the transients here. If I get close in where this kick hits, it's right on the beat. And as a quick reference, I can look to the rest of the beat for that. There's the next kick. These are two kicks right here. Because when you start playing around with delay and editing on the vocals later on, you're gonna wish that you would put it on the right BPMs. So just keep that in mind. That's the first thing I do when I put an instrumental in or a beat in for any kind of recording or editing or anything. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is pull up the EQ. So you can see this is my channel that has the beat on it. And when I pull up this EQ, you can see it's not active right now because I wanted to just introduce each one of these plugins as I go and show you what I did in this session. So I will activate this and you'll see all of the different frequencies that I cut. First thing I look at is the 808 and how hard that's kicking. Now this EQ has a frequency spectrum analyzer on it already. I'll show you. You can see the frequencies jumping on here, and you can see that the low frequencies are hitting harder than the high frequencies, and in most hip-hop beats it's always going to be like that. When it comes down to mastering later, you're going to want to have the 808 frequencies not hitting too much harder than the rest of them. Maybe a decibel or two higher is fine. But you know, it's going to interfere with your compression and mastering later on if you don't take care of that right now. Alright, so what I did was I put a high pass filter or low cut, whatever you want to call it, right here. That's that red dot, and I have it rolling off around, what does it say, about 42 hertz is where it's rolling off. Then I'm cutting with a pretty wide Q on the low frequency filter here around 85 hertz. And it's mostly because I wanted to tame that 808. 808s tend to sit between they normally just sit lower than 200 in most cases. I also cut here around 85 hertz with a wide Q, so I'm covering probably about a 150 hertz band here. And I did that so that I could lower the 808. Your kick also sits right there at 80, so that's why it's a good place to just kind of target. It's about 80 with a wide Q, like I'm saying, so that you're covering a wide frequency range, so that you can cut that out. You'll still want to keep the intensity of it, so you know, don't cut it too much, but probably a little bit if it needs it. You know, look at the spectrum analyzer to figure out what you need to cut and how to better smooth out your frequency ranges. Alright, and then of course I added one here at 530 hertz. I added another cut here at about 2,000 hertz. Now these are all cut by about 2 decibels. And then another cut on the highest of the high, about 10K and above, is where I cut here. And I just scooped out just enough so that the vocals sit well in the beat. That's really what you're trying to do with this. So I'll play the beat back now with this EQ activated, and you'll hear that it still hits as strong as it should. Alright, so we have lead vocals, and on this channel we have an EQ, compressor, and then another EQ. And each one of these, of course, have their own specific role. So we'll pull up the first EQ. And in this one, I use subtractive EQ, where I took pretty much all the lows below 200 out. And then I took a little bit of 400 hertz, dipped that down because it wasn't a very flattering frequency in this guy's voice. Compressor comes up next, and this is how I, of course, can bring up the lows that aren't loud enough and bring down the high volume things that are just too loud, and then make it more consistent all the way across. Then I have a different EQ. This takes a second to load up because it is a very good, powerful EQ. And it's also very transparent, and this is what I use for my additive EQ. Additive means, of course, to add frequencies or boost frequencies, and subtractive would be taking away. I use subtractive before the compressor because when you add and then add a compressor, it's going to squash the frequencies down that you just added. It's not going to work well together. So it's best to do subtractive EQ, compression, then additive EQ, because I wanted to add some air to the end of the vocals. So I boosted over here. Where are we at? We are at, I don't know, I'd say around 3.5K is where I boosted. And then from about 7K and up, I boosted this way, 10K and up, I boosted. So you can see those here, and that'll give a little air to the vocals. So I'm going to add in each one of these with this solo so you can hear what each one's doing.
With a beat like this, might as well call me Rico. I like talk fast, what I want to speak slow. I can't help myself, the boot clatter with the weed smoke me go where I want to go now. I'ma just show out, that's ludicrous, watch how I roll out. I want this exposure, like I'm fully exposed now.
Alright, and then of course I also have the send, which I use sends for effects like reverb, delay, and really anything that you're probably going to send more than one of these recordings to, or channels to. Because with this drip plugin, I put it on its own bus channel over here, and then I send it to that about halfway. You can see right here where I'm sending, or how much of the signal I'm sending to this extra effects channel. So let me turn that on, and then you can hear the difference.
A beat like this, might as well call me Rico. I like talk fast, what I want to speak slow.
So it gives a little more space, it gives it a little bit of shimmer. And then that just always sounds good. You could use a reverb here instead if you wanted to, or you could use a delay if you wanted to. I use Drip, which is actually a plugin that's pretty popular in the hip-hop community that you can add to any old sound, and it makes it very interesting. As an insert if you want. I use it as a send in this case because it has a reverb, a big fat reverb kind of sound to it. But it's also a quick reverb. So it was just me experimenting, and it sounds good. So let's play the lead vocal take over the beat real quick, and you can hear how all that works together.
With a beat like this, might as well call me Rico. I like talk fast, what I want to speak slow. I can't help myself, the boot clatter with the weed smoke me go where I want to go now.
Okay, so you hear how that works. It's already sounding nice and clean, even, and a little wispy. You want some wispiness. You don't want your mixes to sound all muddy. And you'll notice that in these mixes, I'll take a lot of low end out in a lot of cases because low end gets crowded very, very easily. You should have really no more than bass and kick drum on your low end. All right, so this second take over here, or this next track, is actually the same take, just moved down to another track so that I could have some overlap between these vocals. There are multiple reasons to do something like this. Like if I wanted to put different effects on this second track that are only going to be applied to this take, or this part of the take, then that's another good reason to use a second track for essentially what is going to be the same vocal line throughout the whole song. Alright, so with the hype vocals, these hype vocals are created by duplicating this first take, dropping them down to another track, and then moving them over a beat or two so that they echo the track above it, and then just chop out the phrases that you want to use. Okay, so on the hype vocals, the processing I use Metatune, which is essentially an auto-tune plugin. I mostly used it not because we needed to tune the vocals, but I like the tone that it gives the vocals. Especially with this, these are hype vocals, so I want the tone. I can experiment a little more with the tone with hype vocals than with lead vocals, because even if you put so many effects on it that it's distracting, sometimes that just sounds great on hype vocals. You also want to change the color and character of the vocals of the hype vocals so they don't sound exactly like the lead vocals. So Metatune helped me with this. I use a doubler as wide as I possibly can, which comes with Metatune. And then I use Red Light District, which is a distortion plugin, so saturation, either one. I use that because I wanted to create the walkie talkie effect. And the last thing I use is the EQ, using a low pass and a high pass filter so that I can only utilize the mid-range frequencies. Once you put that in this order, you don't have to have the Metatune for the walkie talkie effect, but you need to have the distortion and the really tight closed filter here. You'll probably have a frequency or two that might be irritating coming out of that, so it's good to just dip it somewhere like that. Like I dip mine at 2K hertz because I want the lead vocals to poke through that part anyway. So now, first two, something I forgot to mention earlier was that I am using drip and delay as the sends on my main vocal. On my hype vocal, I'm only using the delay. Alright, so this is what this sounds like.
With a beat like this, might as well call me Rico. I like talk fast, what I wanna speak slow. I can't help myself, the boot powder with the weed smoke me go where I wanna go now. I'ma just show out, that's ludicrous, watch how I roll out. I want this exposure, like I'm fully exposed now.
Alright, so you could hear it. You could hear the hype vocals. I'm gonna play them by themselves.
What I wanna speak slow, weed smoke me go. I want this exposure.
So you can hear how that sounds by itself, and then here is everything all together again.
With a beat like this, might as well call me Rico. I like talk fast, what I wanna speak slow. I can't help myself, the boot powder with the weed smoke me go where I wanna go now. I'ma just show out, that's ludicrous, watch how I roll out. I want this exposure, like I'm fully exposed now.
Alright, so in this video I'm not going to go over hooks, backup vocals, and harmonizing and all that other stuff. There are a million things I could probably talk about with this, but I'm just going to keep it this simple for now. So keep an eye out for any more videos that I'll do in the future. I'll be touching on many different things, including the best way to record your vocals, the best way to set up your studio for recording vocals, different effects you can put on the vocals on the way in, like auto-tune, delay, chorus, any kind of effects, and how to set those up on the way in. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and comment. Let me know what you think of the video, or if you have any suggestions yourself on any of these things that I just talked about. Thanks.
With a beat like this, might as well call me Rico. I like talk fast, what I wanna speak slow. I can't help myself, the boot powder with the weed smoke me go.